My name's Karen and I was prisoner number 094106 of Mary Hutchinson Women's Prison 2016, 17 and 18. I'm here to share with you my story about a past of broken pieces, terrible choices and a lot of ugly truths. But I also am here with a major comeback from all the things that I've learnt, from being rock bottom to being on top of the world. I grew up in a single parent family. My dad was really violent and left when I was about 2. Came and went from our lives, but my mum worked round the clock to provide for myself and my 2 brothers. We didn't really have anything major in our upbringing that was drastic other than the violence from my dad. I had a fairly normal life till I was about 15. And I went to a party with the really cool girls at school and it was pretty much downhill from there. This one epitomises the innocence of my entire childhood. So it was after our grade 10 leavers dinner and I'd never even been kissed, never smoked a cigarette, never been drunk. And the coolest girls, I was the fat kid, so the coolest girls in school kind of said like, let's go, do you want to come to this party with us? We're going to this guy's house, like rah rah. Yep, cool, let's go, I'll go. And yeah, it was a bike club. So kind of left there 4 days later with quite a significant drug habit and was then thought that I was hopelessly in love with one of the senior members there. I was 15, I think he was about 40. But always thought I was in control of it. Always thought that the little things that I was doing that were against all of the things that we'd had instilled in us as children were still in my control, like the shoplifting and the drinking and stealing and things like that. Always thought that I was still in control of them and I was just being a kid. And then when I was about 20, I moved to the mainland to try and get away from the drugs. I'd been injecting them since I was about 16. I came back here about 3 months pregnant and then went straight back to the relationship that I'd left and had my eldest daughter when I was 21. When Mill was born, I remember looking at her in the little plastic crib in the hospital and thinking to myself, that's it, we're done. Like you and I'm gonna change all of this for you. But I didn't. I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. It was, the draw card of it was too strong. And I don't think it was a physical addiction. It was more my place of belonging. There's no doubt whatsoever that I loved her. I loved, with beyond words of any mother that loves their daughter. But I was just stuck. Like I was stuck in trying to belong somewhere and trying to hold on to the only real identity I had and trying to be what I thought was a good parent. So after meeting my ex-partner that I was with for 20 years, he was a straighty 180, didn't have anything to do with bike clubs, nothing to do with crime, nothing to do with drugs, and he was a singer in a band. So it was still the limelight. We were like the Beckhams in public. We had all that. He was a lead singer in a band, we had a business, we had cars, houses. It appeared that we had it all. But behind closed doors, I was degraded and violated, just cut down from anything. Any self-worth I had was gone. 7 months into pregnant with my oldest boy and his dad threw me down a set of stairs. I landed on a wet basket of washing and that's when my waters broke and he ended up coming 12 weeks early. And he survived with lots of added problems. So he's got cerebral palsy, autism, epilepsy, and it was lots of rehab and lots of therapies and lots of operations in that time. And I maintained a drug habit in that time, but also maintained the criminal side of things that allowed me to maintain that habit. And I lost my licence, so I kept driving. And that's what sent me to jail.
Bugger it.
when I was 7.5 months pregnant with Harmony, my youngest daughter, I was brutally raped in Launceston. So I'd kind of, and so that was when I was 7 months pregnant. And that's kind of, if you have a look at the timing, so I went to jail the day after she turned 1. So it's that 12 months that really ruined it. So I never dealt with that, like I was gang raped at 7 months pregnant in Launceston, and I never really dealt with it. I just took more drugs. People don't see jail as an opportunity, but it's there if you want it. The programs are there, the rehabilitation is there, and you don't have to get kids off to school or make it to an appointment. All you got to do is get out of bed, and it all comes to you. You've just got to want it. And I did. It was the beginning of the journey back to being me. So while in jail, you're given a range of programs that you can do. They're not always obtainable, but we were offered the Circles of Security, and it was a once a week for a couple of hours. And for me, it was more, in the beginning, I just wanted to prove to my mum and anybody else that was watching that I was making all the required changes to get out of jail. I know if the judge needed to hear that I was partaking in programs, I was there to partake in programs. And it wasn't till I started doing it, till I actually started to resonate with some of the facts that come up in it and some of the behaviours, and I started to recognise them and realise not only where I'd gone wrong, but how easily obtainable being right was.
Have you done this before, Leo?
I came to understand the emotional cup. I think is one of the terms that has stuck with me the most. And that was when, like, the child walks away and comes back to you all the time for that reassurance. And I guess because I was gone so often from the home, there was no one to come back to. And I think that was one of the hardest things to come to terms with, was the damage and the fracture that had been caused by that behaviour. But in doing the Circles of Security, or Just Time, I've learnt long term how I can now repair those breaks and how moving forwards, it's okay. My parenting toolbox now is so much more full of positive behaviours and positive skills that I didn't have before. And I think every time I've done that course, I've taken away something new. And for a toddler, a child, and the adult children, I think all of them I've been able to learn, take something from it that has given me the benefit to be the best parent that I can be.